Welcome back. Tonight, I bring you 4 dark stories. Listen carefully and don't look behind you.
I woke up at 3:11 a.m. to the sound of someone crying in the hallway. Not just crying, sobbing like a child who'd been left alone. My boyfriend, Matt, was still asleep beside me, his face half buried in the pillow. We'd moved into this house 2 days ago. It was supposed to be our fresh start. Cheap rent, lots of space, 90s style decor that felt almost charming. But right now, all of it felt wrong. Earlier that evening, our next-door neighbor, an older man with sunken eyes, had stopped us as we were unloading groceries. "You moved into the Barrett place," he said quietly. "Bad history. Don't stay long." Matt laughed it off. I didn't. Something in the man's voice felt like a warning, not gossip. I pulled on a hoodie and crept to the hallway. The crying had stopped. The air was cold enough to make my skin prickle. The wallpaper on the stairwell was peeling, and for a second I thought I saw tiny fingerprints pressed into it. My stomach turned. I went back to bed without waking Matt. But at 3:17, the bedroom door creaked open on its own. Matt sat up instantly. "What was that?" "The door," I whispered. "It just opened." He rolled out of bed, flicked on the lamp. Nothing. The hallway was empty, the front door locked. We told ourselves it was just old house noises, but neither of us slept. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about the neighbor's words. Over coffee, I Googled Barrett House Murder. The headlines made my blood run cold. In 1993, a man had murdered his wife and 2 kids in this very house. Blunt force trauma. Police found them all in the upstairs bedroom. The killer was never caught. The article ended with, "Neighbors still report strange noises at night." I didn't tell Matt. He hated ghost stories and would only get angry. But that night, things got worse. We were watching TV when the baby monitor crackled to life. "We don't have a baby." Matt muted the screen. From the monitor came a whisper. "Mommy!" He jumped up, yanked the batteries out, and threw the device across the room. "I'm calling the landlord," he snapped. "This is messed up." But the landlord didn't answer. At 2:59 a.m., I woke to the sound of footsteps above us. Slow, deliberate. Our bedroom is on the top floor. There is no upstairs. Matt grabbed a flashlight. "Stay here," he said. I followed anyway. The footsteps led us to the old attic door, which we hadn't even noticed before. It was open a crack. Inside, dust swirled in the beam of the flashlight. Broken toys lay in a corner, a wooden train, a cracked doll, a baseball glove, stiff with age. And on the far wall, someone had scrawled in faded red letters, "He never left." Matt cursed. "We're leaving." Tonight, we bolted downstairs to pack, but the front door wouldn't open. The lock turned, but the door felt like solid concrete. Every window was the same. My phone died even though it was at 60%. Matt's wouldn't turn on at all. Then the crying started again, this time inside the living room. We turned slowly. A shadow stood near the couch, tall and flickering like static. Its face was nothing but a blur. In its hands, it held a hammer. Matt grabbed my arm. "Basement. There's a back door," we ran. The basement smelled like rot. Pipes groaned overhead. At the far end, a door. Matt twisted the handle. Locked. Behind us, the shadow's footsteps. Heavy, getting closer. I pressed myself to the wall, heart hammering. "What do you want?" I shouted. It stopped, tilted its head. The voice that came out was 2 voices at once, one deep, one like a child. "I never left. You took my house, then it vanished." The basement door clicked open by itself. Cold night air poured in. We didn't look back. We ran barefoot into the street and didn't stop until we reached the neighbor's porch. He was waiting, smoking, like he knew we'd come. "Told you not to stay," he muttered. "It doesn't like new families." "What is it?" I gasped. He flicked his cigarette into the yard. "They never caught him. Maybe they never will." We didn't go back for our stuff. We left the next morning with only what we'd grabbed. A week later, I checked Zillow. The listing for the Barrett house was gone. In its place, property temporarily off market. Sometimes at night, in our new apartment, I hear a faint baby monitor crackle. And once, at 3:11 a.m., I woke to crying in the hallway. What would you do if you heard a baby monitor with no baby? Would you leave everything behind? Or would you try to fight for your home? I never believed group memories could feel so real until that night. We were 18 kids, crammed into one van, half laughing, half scared, heading toward the abandoned mental hospital on the edge of town. Everyone in school whispered about it. Patients vanished in the 90s, doctors disappeared, the place sealed ever since. But it was Halloween, we were 17, and it felt like the perfect dare. The second we stepped out, the air changed. The hospital loomed against the night sky like a black tooth. Windows boarded, paint flaking, but faint yellow light leaking through cracks where no power should exist. We circled up like soldiers. "In and out, 10 minutes, our friend Riley said. We all stick together. Inside smelled of mold and rust. Our flashlights carved thin tunnels through the dark. Names and dates were scratched into the walls. 1993, over and over. "Creepy," whispered June, gripping my arm. We moved down a corridor where wheelchairs lay on their sides like dead insects. In the distance, something clanged. We told ourselves it was just pipes, just raccoons. But then came the whisper. At first it was a hiss, then words, "You shouldn't be here." Every flashlight flickered at once. We froze. "Who's there?" Riley called out. No answer, just a door slamming somewhere above us. We started moving again, faster. The hospital had 3 floors, and every hallway looked the same. We kept seeing room numbers repeat, 12A, 12A, 12A. "We're walking in circles," muttered Devon. "This isn't funny anymore." My heart pounded. I tried counting everyone. 18, then 17. "Wait, where's Mia?" I asked. Silence. She'd been right behind me. We backtracked. Her flashlight lay on the floor, still on, beam pointing at a blood-stained gurney. Riley swore. "We're leaving." Now. But the entrance was gone. The hall just ended in a blank wall. We ran the other way, another wall. The hospital had changed around us. Then, from the loudspeaker above, a voice. "Group therapy begins now." It was male, calm, doctor-like. Doors opened on both sides of the corridor. In each room, shapes moved. Patients in torn gowns, faces blurred, shuffling forward. They didn't walk so much as drag themselves. June screamed. We bolted into the nearest stairwell. It spiraled down into blackness. We didn't argue, we just ran. The air grew damp, colder. We burst into a basement lined with locked cells. Inside, some shadows crouched, whispering, "We never left. We never left. I can't," Devon gasped. "We have to get out." Then the lights snapped on, bright, surgical. In front of us stood a man in a white coat, but his head twitched too fast, like a glitching video. 18 children, he said. "Perfect number. Group therapy complete," I shouted. "Let us go." He tilted his head. "You came to us." You wanted to see his form dissolved into smoke and rushed past us. Every cell door swung open. The patients poured out, reaching with skeletal hands. We grabbed each other, forming a chain. Riley yelled, "Don't break the line!" We stumbled forward blindly until a door appeared where no door had been. Light spilled through. One by one, we dove out. We landed outside on the cracked hospital steps, gasping. It was morning. Birds chirped. Our van sat in the lot, keys still in the ignition. For a second, we thought we'd imagined it all. Then we counted. 17. Mia was gone. We screamed her name. No echo, no trace. The hospital stood silent, every window bricked again. When the cops came, they found nothing, just an empty ruin. A week later, each of us started getting calls at night from an unknown number. When we answered, we heard Mia's voice whispering, "Group therapy begins now." What would you do if your friend vanished inside a place like that? Would you tell anyone or keep it secret? Would you ever go back?
I always thought my older brother was just a little weird. He kept to himself, didn't date, and spent most of his nights locked in his room with headphones on. But the night I accidentally opened the wrong folder on his laptop, I realized his hobby wasn't just weird, it was terrifying. I was using his computer because mine was updating. He trusted me enough not to snoop, but curiosity got the better of me when I saw a folder labeled Guests on his desktop. I thought it was some kind of private photo album, maybe embarrassing selfies. Instead, I found dozens of video files, each named after a date and a first name. When I clicked on one, my blood went cold. The video wasn't something off YouTube. It was recorded in our basement. The camera was pointed at an old chair, and tied to that chair was a boy about my age, blindfolded, gagged, crying. My brother's voice was off-screen, calm and steady, asking the kid questions like, "Do you know why you're here? Do you understand what happens if you tell anyone?" I shut the laptop immediately. My first thought was that it had to be fake, some twisted roleplay. But then I recognized the kid. He was from our neighborhood. He'd gone missing 2 years ago. I couldn't breathe. My brother came into the room a few minutes later, saw me pale and shaking, and instantly knew. He didn't even ask. He just said, "You weren't supposed to see that." I tried to laugh it off, pretend I didn't understand, but he walked over, closed the laptop gently, and whispered, "Now you're part of it." The days after that were hell. He acted normal around our parents, joking at dinner, playing video games. But at night, he would slide notes under my door. Stuff like, "Don't tell. I know when you're lying." Or worse, "You should join me. You'd understand if you tried." I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I thought about going to the police, but the videos, the basement, everything was in our house. If I told, they'd investigate, and my family would be destroyed. My brother had me trapped. One night, I heard noises from the basement. Curiosity and dread pulled me down the stairs. The door was unlocked, which was unusual. When I peeked inside, I saw him setting up his camera again. The chair was in the middle of the room, empty, waiting. He didn't notice me at first. I must have made a sound because he froze and turned around slowly. His face wasn't angry. It was excited. He smiled at me like he'd been waiting for this moment. "You're ready," he said. "It's time." I ran, out the door, down the street, barefoot in the cold night. I didn't stop until I reached my friend's house. I told her everything in a panic, and she made me call the police. They searched our house the next day. The basement was clean. The laptop was gone. My brother had vanished. At first, everyone thought I'd made it up. The cops said there was no evidence. My parents were furious at me, and my friends whispered that I was crazy. But then a package showed up at our front door a week later. No return address, just a flash drive inside. I plugged it in when no one was home. There was only one file. My brother, smiling at the camera, sitting in that same basement chair. Behind him, in the shadows, was someone else, bound crying. He looked at me through the screen and said, "Don't worry, little sister. You'll always be part of this." I shut it off, but I still hear his voice every night. And I know he's still out there, recording, waiting for me to finally take my place in his collection.
I was the only person on the platform when the announcement came through. "Last train delayed. Please remain calm." The voice didn't sound normal. It was flat, too mechanical, like someone was trying to imitate a human. I checked my phone. No signal. The entire station was dead quiet except for the occasional hum of the fluorescent lights above me. It was past midnight, and I was already regretting staying out so late. That's when I noticed the figure across the tracks. At first, I thought it was just another commuter, but the longer I looked, the less sense it made. He wasn't standing still. He was twitching, like every few seconds his body would jerk into another position, then freeze again. I told myself it was just bad lighting, but then he tilted his head all the way back, unnaturally far, until it looked like it should have snapped. Even from across the tracks I heard the crack. I backed away. My footsteps echoed way too loud in that empty station. And then the speakers came on again. Do not approach the figure on the opposite platform. This is for your safety. My stomach dropped. Someone was watching. I shouted, "Hello? Who's there?" But no one answered. The twitching man suddenly stopped. He turned his head toward me, only his head, his body didn't move. His eyes caught the fluorescent light, and I swear they reflected like an animal's. I wanted to leave, but the exit escalators were shut down, the gates were locked, the station was sealed. Then my phone lit up. A new message from an unknown number. "Stay where you are. Don't let it cross." I didn't even have time to react before the figure bent forward, hands dragging on the ground, and started crawling toward the tracks. I ran along the platform, looking for another way out. My footsteps echoed against the tile, but so did his movements, the wet slap of his palms hitting concrete as he crawled faster than any human should. The announcement blared again, louder this time, panicked. "Remain on your platform. The train is arriving." I turned, and sure enough, lights appeared down the tunnel. Relief washed over me until I realized the crawling man was directly on the tracks, waiting, staring up at me. The train didn't slow down. It thundered into the station, and the impact should have destroyed him. But instead of being crushed, he split apart, like his body dissolved into shadows that sprayed across the platform and then reformed right in front of me. I froze. He was inches away now, taller than before, towering over me. His mouth opened wide enough to split his face, and inside was nothing, just a tunnel of black that went on forever. Then my phone buzzed again. "Jump!" I didn't think. I leapt onto the tracks just as the train screeched past. I felt the heat, the wind, the metal screaming inches from my skin. But when I rolled over to look, the shadow man was gone. I scrambled up, shaking, as the train passed completely. The station was empty again, silent. The speakers crackled one last time. "You survived this time. Please exit carefully." The gates were open now. My phone had no messages, no history of what I'd just seen. But when I finally stumbled out into the night air, I realized my reflection in the station glass wasn't moving like me anymore. It twitched, just like him. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his mouth, open, endless, swallowing the light around it. I told myself it was just exhaustion, maybe even a hallucination. But when I looked at my bathroom mirror, my reflection lagged, like a broken video feed. My hand moved, then a second later, his hand followed. The next day, I avoided the subway, took a bus, walked extra miles, anything but that station. But by evening, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "You left too soon." Return tonight, I dropped the phone like it was burning me. No one could have sent that. I'd deleted the message log, I'd reset my phone. But somehow, It was back. That night, against all logic, I found myself walking back to the station. I don't even remember deciding. My legs carried me there like I was being pulled. The place looked abandoned, dustier than just 24 hours ago. No staff, no lights, except one flickering bulb over the platform. The same announcement played on a loop. Last train delayed. Please remain calm. I wasn't alone this time. Dozens of people stood silently on the platform, not moving, not speaking, all facing the tracks. Their bodies twitched in the same broken rhythm as the figure I saw last night. I wanted to scream, to run, but then the speakers blared something new. You are now part of the waiting. The crowd turned their heads toward me all at once. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dark. My phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look, but I did. The message was simple. Stand still. The train is almost here. And against every instinct I froze, staring down the tunnel. The air grew colder, heavier, somewhere deep underground.